Hey, welcome back, everybody. Um, this is the beginning of Unit 9, and we're going to start talking about statistics. And when we start talking about statistics, there are certain words and language that describe different characteristics of data sets. And that's what a statistic is. A statistic describes something about a data set. And most people know some basic statistical language like averages and things like that. So we'll begin with some of that stuff, just to remind you of how to do it. We're going to use technology throughout this entire process. And I want to start by, I'm calling this sort of an intro and reminder of how to find basic stats that maybe you have forgotten. You did notice at one point, but we're going to go back and take a look at some of it again. All right, so again, if you're taking notes on this stuff, pause at any time, and of course the video, and that's how you'd have to keep up. And if it looks like I'm working in a weird place today, my wife's working on Zoom meetings in the house, and I'm in the camper and in the yard. So this is my classroom today. Okay, so all right, so this is how we're going to begin this thing. I'm just talking about calculating a mean and a standard deviation and what those things are. Of course, you have to have a data set to do something like that. Now, language is going to be important, and knowing the symbols they're going to be using here. So this is the Greek letter mu. They'll be using this for mean, which is an average. If somebody told you right now to find the average of this data set, you all know you would sum this up and divide by the number of entries. And it's always smart to count how many entries you have anyway, even if you're using technology. There's 12 of them, I believe. All right, now, standard deviation is a little bit trickier to understand than, say, a mean. Okay, a mean's a good indicator of certain things, but standard deviation indicates other things. Now, what a standard deviation is the average distance from the mean between these data points. Okay, now I'm going to get the technology going here and show you how to calculate these things and what variables to look at when you do a calculation. All right, so you're going to need to use your TI-84, and to calculate this one, I'm going to kind of just hide my picture here and just use it. You want to go second stat, not second stat, just stat, edit. Now, what I've already done, just to speed this video up a little bit, is I've already entered every one of these entries into L1. All right, and then, like I said, check to make sure you got 12, and you're on L1 12, that is 24. If you miss an entry, your data set's going to be really messed up. It's just not going to be right. So always check how many you've got in there. All right. All right, the next move you're going to make here, you're going to go back to your stat menu, and you're going to go over to calculate. All right, you're doing a one variable statistic. You don't have L1 and L2. There's no X and Y component here or anything like that. So you're just one variable stat. So it's number one. And hit enter. Enter. All right, here comes my numbers. All right, so it looks like, well, that wasn't very good. There it goes. So here's what we're looking at. This calculator does not use mu in this function I'm using right now. It uses X bar. So you might want to write down if you're looking for one of these means, X bar is your mean. Okay, your standard deviation is 7.11. So on average, these points on average are 7.11 units from the mean, and the mean being 19. Okay. Now, something else I've already done here, if you wanted to wrap your head around what this distribution might look like. Like if you'll remember now, these have some entries appear more than once. And they can, like 15, 15. So 15 has a frequency of 2, right? 24 has a frequency of 2, and so on. That's what they call a frequency. Now let's go to another feature I want to show you really quick. Second y equals... you can turn your stat plot on if you wanted to look at this in the calculator. And I'm going to hit enter right there and turn it on. If I can get it to do anything for me here. It's kind of weird using this thing. I don't know what's taking it so long. Give me a tough time here. Hold on. There it goes. All right. Must have been some lag on that Wi-Fi. Okay, now I'm gonna come over and choose. I've chosen a bar graph. And I'm gonna hit enter. And you put zoom. You want to do a statistical graph. That's your 9. And there's a distribution of that data. All right, so we see a graphic distribution of the data, and anyway, that's the beginning of the stat thing for what we need here. So we'll write those steps down, but more than likely we're not going to be finding a lot of these basic means and standard deviations. You're going to be giving me this information in some of these word problems, but I wanted to go back and show you how you would calculate them if you needed to and find them. You're not going to be finding standard deviations by hand or anything like that. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. It's like sort of like an intro, and what's important here to takeaways are, this is the symbol that represents the mean, which is an average. Your standard deviation is going to be represented by sigma, or lowercase sigma, and that's it for this video. Now I'll see you in the next one. We're going to talk about some distributions and what they look like, okay?